of our movies, just like the question you're saying. ECOWAS is forthcoming. One of their issues is how to use the industry to push. But ask the ECOWAS now when they say, does this industry exist truly as a policy or something you guys are just using for grandstanding? Did I say something? Now, let us look at where we are today. My dear brother, I remember my very first movie. I was in my hostel after finishing my certificate course. They brought a script. No audition. They asked me to read. And later the Bisoko said, I have found a game. It was my first movie in Igbo language, Central Igbo. I was not really too good. But because I had come from a place of deep professional calling, that intentionally I said, no, I must get it. When we have done the work, the people who are doing the talk are not moving to that point. And so if we must be positioned, Africa as a continent, policymakers must begin to see that this is the magic wand to turn Africa around. Perspectives. Today, I was born in Cameroon. I've been there, it is horrible. You know why? Because people sat down and watched a crowd. And so if we must be positioned, Africa as a continent, policymakers must begin to see that this is the magic wand to turn Africa around. Nobody is perspectives the anger of the people.
What are the biggest misconceptions international audiences still hold about Africa, and how can the film correct that? I'll give an example. You spoke to it a lot when your first statement. It's just about 2 weeks, not 3 weeks ago. I was in a conference in the US. Somebody just told me, it was kind of a shocker. I know they have this feeling because somebody had asked me that before in Netherlands. It's as though they don't understand that Nigeria is like a country in itself. They think it's Africa. Africa is a country. Yes, they think Africa is a country. But the one that shocked me is this guy told me, he said, you're from Nigeria. I said, yeah, that's in Africa, right? He said, so is it true, like, your place, it's like hot?
Like it's hot? I mean hot.
No, not hot. Those
hot.
Oh,
wow. I thought
somebody asking me that question 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, if you asked us like 20, 25, 30 years ago, we understand your ignorance. I couldn't answer him for a while, but I told myself, right, calm down. I just told him, I said, I think I understand now when people say the foreign media, what they do.
Yes.
See, currently, I will say this before I currently, you see this whole thing, Christian, Muslim, the Christians that have been killed, the genocide thing and all that. When you see the propagation in the Western states currently, I know, I'm not telling you what somebody told me, I know somebody who's trying to raise $2 million to come to Africa and help Christians because they are killing them and they are slaughtering them and all that. He's raising $2 million. Trust me, this is a business he's doing. He's not really coming to do stuff. So some people need to sell some of those narratives to get some of the funding. Why I'm not saying we're denying this stuff that are happening in some regions, no, we're not denying it. We're only saying some people also create stories to paint Africa in some light. That's why somebody was asking you, are you seeing it in a hot right now? Because that's what they pitch to get funding, to help. Sound, please help us.
Why do you press?
So back to the question, what are the biggest misconceptions international audiences still hold about Africa, and how can we use film to correct them?
There are quite a lot. I don't want to go into the detail of whether we still live on trees and we jump around like monkeys. I think social media has done justice to the fact that. But there's a major misconception which is that we are very happy people. That we don't have thinking caps, throw them a few grain of rice and they forget about it. I'll bear true in some instances, but that is not the case. The second misconception is that every Nigerian is a scammer. That has been sold so many times through music, through film, even we ourselves. We have done films too. And even also on social media. I think that also the largest misconception is not even just about the West, it's emanating from us. It's emanating from us. I don't know what is in the Nigerian chromosome. We are negative people. When you see something good, the first thing you are looking for is a problem. And that is what you amplify. So, I don't want to always look at it from what is international, because whatever we are propagating, that the international, whatever conception they have of us, is we that propagated. You look at what you just said about somebody saying that he's raised $2 million, because that person has sold that all the Christians are killed. That is not the case. There are people who think, for instance, I will use myself for instance. When people say that, Nigeria is not safe, I am safe in Nigeria. I know where not to go. And in Nigeria, I don't think that I'll be working on somebody who look at me, I don't like your face, you gun me down. But it's possible in a particular country. I don't know where this thing is. I don't want to ban when I enter their country, so I don't want to mention it. But it's very important. I remember my first time in the US. I took an Uber and I was so scared for Uber to block me in front of the apartment. I told him drop me at the junction. Why? Because I watched so much crime and investigation that somebody can just follow me inside and shoot me. That is the power of media. That is how much I'd consumed. But you see, in Nigeria, if I'm here, I'm not thinking that is a possibility. Somebody just decide that I don't like your face, I just feel like doing you. It's not, you know what I'm saying? There's a trigger, right?
That's true.
And in Nigeria, you know the places you shouldn't go to. What I'm trying to say in answering this is that many of the misconception is really emanating from us. How many times on social media do you see a Nigerian or Nigerians celebrating fellow Nigerians? Read through the 10th comment. Somebody is castigated, and when one person castigates, it's as if they are just waiting.
Yeah.
Everybody jumps on it.
Yeah.
Somebody will tell you, I don't watch Hollywood films.
We don't watch you too.
Do you understand? I don't have that one to do. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But an Indian will never say about an Indian film. That is why we are not breaking even though we have the numbers in this country. So I don't want to go into the misconceptions are plenty, but I think that the root cause of the misconception is emanating from us. Are there bad eggs amongst us? Yes, but it does not make all the eggs bad. It's the same way in other countries. There are bad eggs. There are problems. A lot of problems. But you see, they don't say that. Every time I was just watching out 10 minutes ago. The amount of time they were showing the war in Sudan. The numbers of them showing the fuel scarcity in Mali. They kept on rolling it. I'm like, but there are other problems in other countries. So that's the thing. It's sensationalization. And people like that this black race, we are struggling. And I think that except we as a race, as Africans, as Nigerians, if we don't come together to celebrate us, it's one thing as a parent, even though your child is a bad child, you will not throw the child away now. So why don't we do that for each other? Why don't we stand together and see? Because if we don't celebrate ourselves, the world cannot take us, can't celebrate us. You can't expect that celebration from outside. I was at a, and I'm going to digress a little bit. I was at a conference at MIPCOM, and Africa is not on the conversation table at all. But this is us in Africa trying to break into the international market. We are not on the conversation table. There is no statistics. There is no data. But every filmmaker here wants to break into Hollywood. Every filmmaker here wants to make international film. And I'm wondering, have you made a nationally acclaimed film first? There's a lot of problems I think that there's so much. As I say, it is in the chromosome. And we really need a reset for us to be able to position ourselves and be taken seriously. But let us take ourselves seriously first. and stop looking for this accolade outside.
Thank you so much. Okay, so if you're sitting in this hall, there's something I need you to understand. I mentioned something earlier. I told you that the path of someone who wants to really make transformational film is always not easy. That's the truth. Certain times you go against authorities. I'm not asking you to go against government on your own. But certain times you go against authorities. I remember when I made Ivan president, people were telling me, right, they will come for you. My film was censored twice. A day to the screening, to the cinema release, I was called and told the DG censor board, they said they want to censor the film again. Yeah, catch me. So I now went to the theater where we wanted to screen. I sat down there, and watched the film and watched the entire film. She said, okay, nice job. She didn't take out anything. Yes. Yeah. She didn't take out anything. And the reason is this, they're not there to hunt you, they're just there to, but if you've seen it on President, it's the provocative film. But it's simple. In the design of the film, I was intentional. I'm not speaking to people, I'm speaking to systems. Nobody can hold me. You speak the truth, hard truths, and all of that. So if you're a filmmaker here who is seated, I believe there's something about you that craves for change. You need to follow your path. It may not be the most convenient path, but you've got to follow it because you don't win running on somebody else's. You only win on your lane. That's where your strength is. But you just need to build the muscles to fight. I'm saying that to say some of the things that Billy just said. You are the person who will start. Some people will tell you, we don't want to teach people anything, and just make them happy. In fact, 2 days ago, I sat down here and I was having a conversation with the manager. I said, how many films have made it this year? You'll be amazed what he told me. Yeah. And the summary, he said, right, just make them happy. He said they just want to laugh. He said, you just go out and right. He's the manager, the BM. I've spoken to a couple of them. Auntie Bedu don't push film, go cinema there. She will tell you. However, it doesn't mean that impact films cannot be designed to be commercial. It can. But your intentionality is what can really make it happen. But first, don't lose your person because you want to make money, fast money. Don't lose your person. So I'm coming back to you as we begin to wrap up. What kind of policies, or government interventions are needed to support the creative economy? And if we want to talk this government kind of seem to be doing certain things to support the creative economy. But given what we have currently, are there things you think needs also to be done to help us reposition, film and use film to drive transformational change in the society?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, Sister Bill, there's no other way to have said it. I think that was so profound, I'll take a leading from that and just blend into it. You see, neurosurgeons know too well that there's one feat they can never achieve. Their scalpel can never cut into the human mind. Hello? There's no surgery knife that can cut open the human mind. But you and I have it. It's the power of the arts that steps into the human mind that you're seeing every day. I finished doing the movie, you watch it, and you stop calling me Francis Duru, you start calling me Anna. That's because of how much I have sat in you. I've permeated your mind so much so that your mind can no longer call me Francis Duru. Your mind always says Anna. That's the power of what we control. When you see it starts from us. There's a force, a creative force that intentionality comes to that. Whether you like it or not, it begins to fight for you. And I'll go back to agitational propaganda. I'll go back to America. When they have used this industry as a tool for propaganda, a whole house is burning. The man said today he goes back to just to rescue an American flag. Where that one they have? And you watch it say, wow, this is. But this time you talked about New York. My first time in New York, I was disappointed. It smell.
It's still the smell.
Till today.
Yeah.
I understood why Magic Fashion in a New York bread, native bread. Because one of the things that they use in fighting. Now, back to what you said. For our policymakers, and some of them are here, I think we should stop talking. We should start revising the enacting laws that have been there in comatose for how many years, day in, day out, and give practitioners the opportunity to tell you how it is. Not you giving me Panadol when I have belly ache. Yet for me that I have Panadol now before you give me paracetamol. But you assume, based on a policy that I was not there when it was written, reject these things and put alongside how the industry runs. The second part of it is that stop defining the industry from the top, where it is the number of persons at the top are not more, as compared to the same way you want to define a country, the strength of a country's economy is from macroeconomy.
Yes.
That's a macroeconomy exists in the creative industry from the ordinary skit maker. Cumulatively, 1,000 skit makers, they tell you how much money they're bringing into the economy. It's totally different from the one film artist who would shoot and go to cinema and is struggling and crying. Yet, when we want to define the industry, we define the industry for that top at the detriment of the things that are underneath, that are so widespread. So, it is not about the money you are making, it's about the money you are not making. And when you call bankers to come inside there, it is not scalable, it is not bankable. Make it scalable, make it bankable. So those are the things that policymakers review. See that I've said this not once, not twice. Forget all the people who carry suitcases to say they are representing our industry, while they have not been on set once. I was supposed to be in China. Did everything. Only to be told that the slots have been taken by the ministry. Yet the essence, the person who called me was because I cut across town and down. Then theater and film. So I'm in a much better position as a practitioner to understand what and how the practitioner. But what you become the policymaker is the overall and begins to take decision for you without knowing what you go through to understand the dynamics of the industry. We did a production one time in one country, I don't want to mention the name. The Minister of Communication sat in my class. I said, everybody down. I don't care. Dump your ego outside. And at the end of the day, only for me to realize that the people who were in that class, because they wanted to understand the nitty-gritty of the industry. So policymakers must have the lowest common multiple, the LCM they call it, to begin to define the industry from the lowest to the top. So you can aggregate what the industry is all about. If you destroy and undermine the entire value chain and you choose just where you want to be, you have failed to define the industry. And the results can never be truthful.
Thank you. The clapping is not sounding like what I just said. Thank you. As we wrap up in 1 minute to my panelists. In 1 minute, please. What must new generation African filmmakers learn or unlearn to take African cinema to the next level? What must they learn about that or unlearn?
I like Uncle Francis because Uncle Francis does all the English speaking. He would give you all the grammar. Me, I would say it in layman's terms, you understand. What you must unlearn is the anyhowness. You must unlearn the anyhowness. Whether you are making a film for YouTube, for vertical, for your phone, you must discard the anyhowness. There's nothing like they will take it like that. There's nothing like that. Because let me tell you something. When I started my career, after I did the music, I went to work in Europe TV, and I started making films. My goal was not to be the star on Iroko TV. It was a bigger picture. So when I started making my films, I was not making it that it will terminate, the shelf life will be there. It was supposed to be the opener for people to see what more I can do. So that anyhowness did not follow me. Everybody could see the intentionality. And that is what you must learn. What you must learn. Now, what you must learn is that you must embrace your culture. You must be a proud Nigerian filmmaker first. Because you can never hear international filmmaker. They will still say, where are you from? So you can now aim for a Nigerian international filmmaker. But you must first, because every material, every raw material that forms who you are is in your country. Your stories are from here. Your stories are shaped by your experiences. If you live as a Nigerian in America, that is your experience. There's something you can. It's like saying that you want to call a South African man to come and write Nigerian story. Where you want to start from? Do you understand what I'm saying? So you must appreciate that the raw material that stands you out as a Nigerian filmmaker or as a filmmaker in Nigeria is here in your whatever. I studied abroad, but I also understand that the stories I want to tell, it's not abroad stories. It is here. So do you understand what I'm saying? And when you embrace that originality, that is what the world sees. Because in the grand scheme of things, we are all human. We share something that is humanity. It's the backdrop that is different. It's the backdrop that is different. Some of us fall hungry. The only difference is that you are hungry, you feel like eating rice and liver. In America, they want to eat a burger. In whatever they want to eat hummus. So we all have the same experiences, but those experiences are just shaped by the differences in our culture. But at the very core, it's the same thing. So as a filmmaker here, you must embrace your authenticity because everything you need to be original is here. Thank you
so much, Noah. Thank you. Your hands are not clapping enough. All right. Alexander is currently in the room. So in 1 minute, we want to get that some feedback from.
Sorry, I thought for more than 1 minute. Sorry.
Okay. For me, it's a simple thing. She said it, authenticity. And there's no way you can ever be authentic if you do not understand the requisite knowledge behind these things. Learn. Don't just assume. When I say learn, you have the best tools in the world that has ever, oh God, we never had master classes. I hope the master class. You know what our master classes were? The Olu of the Sam logo. I'm having a bit of Uncle Olu, and I missed my line in my project. At the end of the day, he dragged me. Are you stupid? Is this what Rotimi taught you? You missed the $900 billion shot. Don't let that happen again. I was smiling. Why are you smiling? He said, because who am I? A legend correcting me. Till today, with Uncle Lulu, I've seen him not just as a father, but as a teacher. If I ask you how many photographs of celebrities you have, you will tell me. But if I ask you to tell me just an iota of their story that you know that led them to success, you never ever did. So stop going for people's glory. Ask them the story behind their glory. Ladies and gentlemen, you can tell us to yourself. I think the first thing is we're going down for a showcase. Because you get body lines. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us. We're wrapping up this section now.
and joining Alexander for our Q&A. Whatever questions you have in the next 15 minutes, we'll have this time out with Alexander. So please, once again, with a round of applause for all my panelists back to your seat. Thank you. So, every one of us who watched Burning and if you didn't watch, we're joining Alexander right now for people's Q&A. Whatever questions you have for Alexander, getting ready. I'm going to be throwing the first question. I'm going to be throwing the first question. So please, can you connect us back to Alexander? Have you received that into the room?
Okay.
Please now. Sorry? I can't hear you. She said she is in the room. Hi, Alexander. The entire Africa is ready for you. Yeah, it's actually waiting for you. All right.